All right. Let me just put everybody on mute. Okay, we are live on YouTube. I want to say welcome to all of our YouTube. Let me just put everybody on mute. Because okay, we are live on YouTube. I want to say welcome to all of our YouTube. Let me just put Yeah, I was just getting some feedback from. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen? Okay, I got the thumbs up, so.
Yes, seen it.
Okay. All right, so today we're talking about headaches. I'm not sure how many people on this Zoom call has headaches, or you might know somebody who suffers from headaches. And so we want just to present a few slides, some information on how to overcome some of the more debilitating headaches. The first thing you need to know is that headaches are not of themselves a disease, but always it's the reflection of disorders elsewhere in the body. So whenever you get a headache, it's normally like that light that flashes or that sound that is made in your car when you do not have your seatbelt on. So the headache is not the problem, it's a symptom of something else in the body. Uh, Bad health habits is one possible cause of headaches. And we need to start by scrutinizing all of our habits carefully and make any necessary changes. So if you look at the screen here, it talks about headaches. If you have a headache at the top of your head, it is a result of barometric pressure. You go to the left, the side of the head, behind the eyes, that is equal to, excuse me, insulin resistance in your body or blood sugar imbalance. If the pain is at the bottom back of your head, you could very well be having a potassium deficiency. If you look to the right, if it's at the top back of the head, there might be something going on with your sex hormones, your histamine, and you might also be dehydrated. If the pain resides in the temple or the forehead or the eyes area, that equals to stress hormones. And overall headaches could be getting rid of by detoxing ourselves from caffeine, alcohol, drugs, food sensitivities, etc. If you look at this screen here, we deal more closely with the different types of headaches. You have migraine headaches, and it's normally on one side of the head, and it is light. You are affected by light and sound. You have a sensitivity to light and sound. It's on one side of the head, the migraine headache. If it's a tension headache, look at the red dots. You see from the left here, the right here, over the head and the forehead. It's like a band around your head, and you feel an aching pressure triggered by stress. I think most of us get these from time to time. The tension headaches. Then you have the sinus headache, and it affects the eyes and the cheeks. And you have pressure and facial pain. We look next at the cluster headache, and you see where it's accumulating and radiating outwards. It's behind one eye at a time, and sometimes you experience a series of headaches. There's swelling and redness and sweating. And last, we have the allergy headache. The allergy headache, it's at the top of the head and to the forehead as well. and you have runny nose, sneezing, and watery eyes. So the five main types of headaches: the migraine, the tension, the sinus, the cluster, and the allergy headache. We will look at the migraine headache. The migraine headache often makes its appearance in somebody who is always tense. They're very meticulous and they're very obsessive. All right, if you know anybody like that, they're the prime targets for a migraine headache. They're always tense, they're meticulous, and obsessional. There are several types of migraine headaches, but most are characterized by severe pain on one or both sides of the head. You normally experience nausea, visual disturbances. You might see blurry. You get dizzy and other symptoms. And doctors believe that migraines are caused by dilation and constriction of the blood vessels in the head. By the way, if you have any questions, please hold them till the end of the presentation. Let's look at some of the causes, so the possible causes and symptoms of migraine headaches. Causes and symptoms of migraine headaches. So, attacks of migraine headaches are precipitated by numerous factors besides allergies, such as overeating, gastrointestinal upsets, emotional stress, hypothyroidism, fatigue, bright flickering lights, and foods that contains any of the following: cheese, Chianti wines, chicken liver. I know some of us in the West Indies, we used to love to eat the chicken liver, pickled herring, monosodium glutamate, cured meats, pressed meats, and pork products. These all contribute to migraine headaches. Okay, we want to give you 15 suggestions for the prevention. The prevention. So first of all, we'll deal with the prevention of headaches, and then we will deal with some of the possible treatments, natural treatments for headaches. So the first suggestion to prevent your headache is to avoid all exposure to toxins like tobacco, illicit and illicit drugs, caffeine in coffee, tea, colas, and chocolate, and sweet drinks, alcohol, etc. Cosmetic perfumes. Some people are very sensitive to cosmetic perfumes. One very common cause of headaches is cat and dog dander and other pet secretions or products that can cause allergic headaches in some people, as can chronic bacterial or viral infections from dental problems, chronic dermatitis, nasal lesions, and chronic genitourinary, which means genital and urinary organ tract infections. The type of colonic bacteria associated with meat eating may cause some people to suffer with headaches, and a dietary change may be helpful. In most cases, it is very helpful. Caffeine withdrawal may also cause us headaches, and the headache often comes about 1 to 3 hours after taking the food, the drink, or the medicine containing caffeine. Yes, there are some medicines that contain caffeine, and the headache could possibly come on about 1 or 3 days later. Right? So the first suggestion is to avoid exposure to caffeine and other toxins. Right? And here it is: toxins, the odors, fumes, air pollution, rotting leaves or compost, molds from shrubs, vines growing near the home, and do not eat, breathe, or drink toxic materials, toxic materials. All right. Number two of the 15 suggestions for prevention of headaches. Number two, always have circulating air in your home or your office. Always have circulating air in your home or office. There must always be circulating air in the bedroom, especially at night. In the daytime, thoroughly air out the bedrooms and the bed clothing. Morning headaches are frequently the result of stale air during the night. During the night. All right. Suggestion number three for the prevention of headaches: check sleep time comfort. Check sleep time comfort. Check during sleep time to see if your bed is comfortable and if your head, your neck, or shoulders are being chilled due to being uncovered when you are sleeping. So it's not a good idea to sleep naked or to sleep just with underclothes or barebacked because your neck, your shoulders, your head is being chilled. And that is very uncomfortable and it can cause a lot of illnesses. And due to the anatomical, there's a big word meaning the bodily structure, makeup of the veins in the head, the blood that has been chilled may be thrown back over the brain from your chilled shoulders. So when your shoulders get chilled, that blood, because of the makeup of the veins in the head, throws that blood back over the brain and the brain becomes chilled. And so try to get a comfortable position when you're sleeping. And it is best to usually sleep on one of your sides, on one of your sides. All right, number four, suggestion of 15, keep your extremities, we just spoke about this, keep your extremities warm at all times. And this does not mean only when you're sleeping. This is also during the summertime. If you would notice that the Roman Catholic nuns and the priests, they normally wear their clothes year round. The Muslims, even in Africa or other hot countries, they're always well covered. And one good thing about that is that it helps with proper circulation of your blood. It avoids blood clotting. And for those of us who are Seventh-day Adventists, we're advised by the Spirit of Prophecy that at all times, even during the summertime, when we are sleeping, our extremities should be well covered. So cold skin anywhere is abnormal, and it sends an alarm message to the brain. So when your skin is chilled, it sends an alarm message to the brain. And the blood that would be in the large vessels of the extremities, uh, where they're warm, is driven into the trunks and the head, since the arteries narrow when they are chilled. Your arteries get narrowed when they are chilled. So many individuals react to chilling of the extremities by an elevation of blood pressure. So think about this: your arteries are being narrowed, but your blood pressure is increasing. Anybody could figure out what could happen there, right? So many individuals react to chilling of the extremities by an elevation of blood pressure, which may contribute to a headache. Also, changes in the weather, especially cold air, can cause headaches in susceptible individuals. I know some of us who are married, we want to sleep in our Victoria's Secrets, and I guarantee you, after a while, everyone will know your secret because you will be sick. All right. So when you finish with your Victoria's Secret activities, put on some warm clothing. Amen. All right. Number five uh, of the 15 suggestions for prevention of headaches: keep a strict, regular schedule. Keep a strict, regular schedule. Oh, by the way, some people have noticed that most times I am dressed in a suit or a sports jacket or a long sleeve shirt. That's because I am trying not to be a hypocrite and live up to what I know to be right, to keep my extremities covered at all times for proper health. Number five, keep a strict regular schedule. It's very important. This is a very, very important point, to keep a strict regular schedule for meals, for bedtime, and waking time, for going to the bathroom, for study periods and other major events. And especially for sleep, sleep between the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. allows for the secretion of melatonin so that you can wake up revitalized. It controls the cortisol and insulin. So if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you need to be in bed before 10 p.m. to get that proper sleep. So the cortisol could help control your insulin. It improves the lymphatic system, that is the brain's lymphatic system, by purging waste, toxins, and inflammation. It also increases what is called BDNF for neurogenesis. It allows consolidation of information learned during the day. So if you're a student, you need to get good night rest so the information that you learned can be consolidated in your brain. Good night rest also improves your mood, your memory, gives you higher order of thinking and processing in the frontal lobes. And very importantly, it aids in the prevention of Alzheimer's. It aids in the prevention of Alzheimer's, not just headaches. All right, number 6, never eat between meals. Never eat between meals. It is never a good idea to eat even as much as a grain of a peanut between meals. Take only water and plain herb teas between your meals. And one of the reasons for this, it takes approximately 5 hours for our stomachs to properly digest our foods. And anything that we put in our mouths, including chewing gum, that chewing activation activates all of the secretions from our tongue, all of the enzymes in our tongue, and our body thinks that we're getting new food. It stops digesting the food that's in the stomach and tries to digest the new food it thinks it's getting. So then that food stays there and rots. So it's not a good idea to even eat a peanut in aid of not only helping resist headaches, but also for good digestion. And there is a direct link between our gut and our stomachs. They communicate with each other. Suggestion number 7, take no rich or heavy food. Take no rich or heavy food. Take no rich or heavy food. Avoid too much protein. We have been lied to or given wrong information. Yesterday we spoke about this in our health presentation yesterday evening. It is a misnomer that we need large amounts of protein. And normally, when your doctor tells you you need more protein, they don't talk about vegetables or green leafy vegetables or fruits. They talk about fish and meat. Too much protein can give you what is called a protein hangover, which is the same as your body having an alcohol hangover, where the body reacts to having too much protein. Uh, a ketosis headache. This is just saying where there are elevated levels of ketone bodies in your body tissues, which is typically pathological, meaning that it has the potential to predict or actually cause the progression of conditions such as diabetes, or maybe the consequence of a diet that's very low in carbohydrates. And I need to let you know that there's also not just diabetes of the body, but there's also diabetes of the brain. And that's very dangerous to encounter. Number 8, avoid eating food late in the evening. I know some of our folks online, our cultural habits from different West Indian islands is to cook food when we come home from work and talking about pilau or rice and peas and heavy stuff, green bananas, and to eat that just before bed. Again, it takes 5 hours for your food to digest. And if you go to bed, if you ate late by 6 p.m., you go to bed by 10, the food hasn't properly digested as yet. And if you had a heavy meal all night, your digestive system is the most hardworking system in our bodies. And if that is working all night, our entire bodies will be out of whack. We will feel tired, next morning exhausted. We'll have terrible moods, and we'll be setting up ourselves for serious digestive problems. So it may be best to leave out the third meal of the day. However, if you take the third meal, it may be best to use only plain whole grain bread or simple cooked cereal and fruit taken several hours prior to the bedtime. And it is best to eat the fruits before you eat the cereal. And again, the meals should be at least 5 hours apart. 5 hours apart. Suggestion number 9, limit your food variety. We need to, all of us need to use a limited quantity and variety of food at our meals. When we take more than 3 different varieties of food, for the most 4 at any one meal, we confuse the stomach. We can even get stomach ulcers, and I would give you the reason very soon why we don't mix fruits and vegetables or mix different kinds of foods. You are setting yourself up for bloating and even stomach cancer. Avoid mixing fruits and vegetables at the same meal. And the very simple reason, fruits are digested much quicker than vegetables and other foods, and have more sugar, which can actually delay the digestive process of vegetables. So if you make smoothies, you want to avoid mixing fruits and vegetables in your smoothies. All right. But if you insist, hey, more power to you. All right. Milk, egg, and sugar combinations tend to cause fermentation in your intestine. So that birthday cake that somebody gave you and wished you well, wished you more life, they were actually killing you. That anniversary cake with eggs and sugar and milk that they're giving you with candles, that those candles can be used at your wake. It's a killer. So milk, egg, and sugar combinations tend to cause fermentation in your intestine. That fermentation turns to yeast. And for women and some men, you get yeast infection. And then you go to the MD, not the ND like myself, I'm going to be, and they give you antibiotics that also contain yeast, and it makes your problems 10 times worse. Right? So milk, sugar, egg combinations tend to cause fermentation in your intestine, which produces toxic substances, which will give individuals that are susceptible a headache. And number 10, dairy products. Dairy products. Apart from the food combining problem that we just spoke about, all dairy products tend to be associated with headaches in most individuals. All dairy products, milk, eggs, cheese, wafers, whatever, ice cream, whatever has that dairy milk. Other usual suspects of causing headaches, in addition to cheese and wine, are chocolate, wheat, pork, beer, eggs, citrus fruits and juices, corn, onion, garlic, nuts, tomatoes, fish, and peanuts. Peanuts. All right, number 11. Number 11. It is good for somebody who is a headache sufferer, to perform allergy tests. And how do you do this? I'm glad you asked. To do the allergy test, you will try for a 6 weeks period to avoid known allergenic foods that will cause constipation or gas, or any foods that you're allergic to or cause you to get constipated or to have gas. You avoid those foods for about 6 weeks. And that includes the list we just mentioned, as well as foods of animal origin, all refined foods, all types of beans and soy products, apples, and what is called the nightshades, meaning tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, and peppers. You want to do that test for about 6 weeks to see if you are still getting the allergy headache. Number 12, you can also perform a colon marker test. And what is that? It is where you check your intestinal transit time. It means how long it takes your stool to come out. And the marker you're going to use is to uh, take 4 charcoal tablets or 1 tablespoon of sesame seed that you swallow whole. And you're going to check to see how long it takes to come out in your stool through your colon, right? How long that marker, the charcoal or the sesame seed, takes before it clears your colon. And you want to keep the time under 30 hours. So just about a day and 6 hours or so. And by using whole grains, bran, and raw fruits and vegetables to keep you flowing. Number 13, deep breathing. And as you see on the slide, one way to do deep breathing while you're sitting is to sit or stand. Well, you can stand as well with your elbows slightly back. Number 2, inhale a deep breath. You hold it and then you exhale slowly through your nose. So step 1 is a sit or stand with your elbows slightly back. And let's all try it as we are sitting. Number 2, we're going to take a deep breath. Inhale a deep breath. Then we're going to hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Release slowly. That is deep breathing practice. And deep breathing relieves the congestion of your head. Number 14, maintain a good posture. Maintain a good posture, whether you're walking, you're standing, or you're sitting. And as you see on the slide, for the walking, you see the correct posture. Some of us tend to lean back too much or lean forward too much. You see, for the male, for the female, for the walking, for the standing, for the sitting. And we need to learn to maintain good posture while standing, sitting, walking, lying, etc., etc. All right, number 15, the last of the 15 suggestions for prevention of headaches: exercise. Exercise. We need to exercise from 1 to 5 hours daily. And unlike the chick on the left, with all of our extremities covered, I'll try to look cute. All right, here are 7 suggestions for treatment. So we gave you 15 suggestions for prevention of headaches. But should you still have serious headaches, here are 7 suggestions. Number 1, you can use red clover or catnip. Those are tea bags, caffeine free. You can drink a cup of red clover tea or catnip tea at the onset of a headache. So as soon as the headache begins to come, you can drink a cup of red clover tea or catnip tea. Number 2, induce vomiting. Induce vomiting. And you can induce vomiting with your finger if you have undigested food that is fermenting in your stomach. And how would you know if you have undigested food that is fermenting in your stomach? Maybe because you were drinking while you were eating, or you ate within the 5-hour period, or you ate some fruit after you ate some food, or you ate fruit mixed with vegetables, or you ate too many combinations of food. How do you know? Well, you will usually recognize a spoiled, acid, or fermented taste in your mouth when you burp or when you pass gas, right? So if you burp and you get this spoiled or acid or fermented taste in your mouth, or your gas smells putrid, then you need to induce vomiting to get that poison out of your system to avoid getting a headache. Number 3, one that we all love, have an enema. An enema, right? There's poop factory, never closed. Have an enema. Enemas can be used until clear with the use of hot water or charcoal water. Enemas. You can also use soda powder for enemas. They give you a good clean out. Number 4, take a brisk walk. Take a brisk walk. Take a brisk walk with your extremities well protected, unlike the lady in the blue, from dampness or chilling, with your head up, shoulders back, breathing deeply to relieve congestion. Number five, uh, for a migraine headache, at the first sign of a migraine headache, where you experience dizziness, blurred vision, black or colored spots in your visual field, nausea, etc. The first thing you do is to sit in a chair with your head hanging between your knees. Next, have a gentle flow of very cold water to the base of your skull, allowing it to flow forward through your hair, if you have any hair, over your scalp for about 30 seconds. The water is caught, the extra water is caught running off in a pan placed between your feet. Then briefly dry the hair and scalp by blooding it with a towel. Meaning, don't rub it, but blood it with a towel. Then you sit up promptly after the water has been poured above and dried, and you will elevate your feet on a stool or a chair. Now you will allow a stream of cold water under pressure, if possible, to the soles of the feet for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. If you don't have pressurized water, you can have a quart of ice water poured over your feet for about 60 seconds. After the cold water has been poured, have somebody or do to yourself apply pressure to your temples with the heels of the hands, exerting as much pressure as can be generated between the palms for 2 to 5 minutes. Be sure to have the pressure gradually released. In other words, it should not be suddenly released, using about 1 minute for the complete release. Repeat this procedure every 2 hours until the headache is gone. Number six, where you have the tension headache, the muscle tension in the face, neck, and shoulders may cause a tension headache. The tension type of headache is best treated with a steam pack on the shoulders and the back of the neck for over 20 minutes, a steam pack or a hot water bag or so on, followed by massage of the neck and shoulders and the fingers stroking over the forehead and back through the hair to relax the scalp. And last but not least, the 7 suggestions for treatment of headaches, what is called a gentle manual traction. Sometimes there is distortion of the vertebrae, and it is helpful to use manual traction to the neck. Just maintain a sustained pull for 1 to 10 minutes on the head. And if you look at the picture, you would see an idea. You will hook the fingertips around the base of the skull and the angles just under the jaw, and just pull toward you gently for 1 to 10 minutes on the head. And for some of you who have had massages done by a masseuse, this is one of the procedures that you would have encountered. All right. So that's the end of the presentation. And I'm sure you may or may not have questions. And if you do, now is the time to ask them. And I would do my best to answer.
Pastor Raybon, you have a question in the chat room.
I have a question in the chat room.
Yeah.
Okay, and the question, if you had a demo, or if I had a demo for the treatment, for which treatment?
I think the one you were saying about the water, the ice water and stuff.
No, I don't have a demo for it. But for those who live in Texas and who need it, want to become my clients, I can show you. But if you follow the instructions, you can easily apply it. So it's just simple. You just get for the head, back of the neck, is very cold water, for 1.5 to 2 minutes, and for the feet, just cold water poured over the feet. And for that reason, one reason for that is you want the cold to extend down to your extremities. You don't want to keep that coldness in your head, and that's it's called reflexivity, where the coldness from the brain, if it just stays there, it can cause damage. If you cool the feet, the body now sends blood to warm the feet up, and the blood begins to circulate back and forth. That answers the question. I wish I knew who Galaxy A30 was. You're welcome, Galaxy A30. Are there any more questions?
Yes, you can eat any, can you eat any fruit? Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so, can you eat like any fruit during, if you, for example, if you eat around 4 o'clock and you decide not to eat anything for those period of time and you want to go to bed and you're hungry, can you eat any fruit on that period of time?
Sure.
I say fruit. Can you eat any?
Sure. You can eat whatever you want to eat. But the question becomes, if you ate at 4 o'clock, and we just covered that the body takes about 5 hours to digest food. That means if you eat that fruit between 4 and 9 p.m., your body will stop digesting the food that's there and digest the fruit. And that food will stay and rot in your stomach. And when you go to the bathroom and you flush and you get up and you feel something hit you in your back, that's the stench from the rotted food. So if you want to eat fruit as your last meal, if you insist on having 3 meals, you don't need 3 meals unless you are a construction worker, you're working on some kind of manual labor all day. If you had a good breakfast, and the correct suggested way to eat is to eat breakfast as a king, eat your lunch as a queen, and if you have a third meal, to eat that third meal as a pauper. So think of what paupers eat. But you don't need 3 meals a day. That puts too much strain on the digestive system, which is the most hardworking system in our bodies. You don't need 3 meals. And even the world is now saying that. The Lord's servant told us that years ago. 2 meals is sufficient for most people. And so if you have your breakfast, let's say around 8 o'clock, by 1 o'clock, the stomach should be empty. By 2 o'clock, if you have a meal, 5 hours, 7 o'clock. Right? So by 7, your last meal should primarily be by 6 p.m. That's why in the hospital, they give you your last meal at 6 p.m. Because by 10 o'clock, you should be sleeping. And we just spoke about that. That's when the serotonin, the cortisol for your insulin is released in your body. All of the organs are being replenished between 10 and 2 p.m. Especially for students. If you're a student and you want to stay up late and study, you are actually killing yourself. It's best to go to bed by 9:15, 9:30, take off all electronics. By 10 p.m., you fall asleep. And if you, because of the rhythm of the body, if you sleep between 10 and 2, that cycle doubles your sleep time. So normally between 10 and 2 will be how many hours? That'll be 4 hours, right? So that will double to 8 hours sleep. And if you've ever gone to bed early, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever, and you get up like 2 in the morning, then you can't go back to sleep. That is because your body has been replenished. At 12 midnight, our bodies are at their peak. That's one reason why people who work at night think it's okay. I'm a night person. That's because the body peaks at 12. That's why in the Bible you will find several times when it talks about the parables or with Jacob, Christ comes at midnight. That's the peak of the body when you get good sleep. So there's a reason for that. Of course, these are only suggestions.
Thank you, Pastor.
You are welcome. Are there any more questions? If there are no more questions, we can sign off. Thank you for being on today. I pray that what we shared was a benefit to you or somebody else. And if you benefited from it, just give a thumbs up or a hand up, something up. Okay, wonderful. All right, so let's pray to close. Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for you being with us today as we shared what we did today. We pray that the information would be able to help somebody overcome their headaches or if there's somebody that they know about. Please allow all of us to recognize that we need to become medical missionaries because it's the right arm of the gospel. And we can easily use home remedies to heal ourselves and our neighbors and friends. We give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for sharing, Pastor. And I'm the somebody else to whom you referred.
Oh, praise God.
Great information, Pastor. I didn't know a lot of this
Yeah,
stuff.